Welcome back to the Panic Room, everyone, for another book review. Today's book review is going to be a little different. So let me give you some backstory. Obviously, I do have a vlog on this book if you want to go check that out. It is guaranteed to be spoiler-free. I can't say the same about the review. So just a warning for you. But I do want to give you guys some backstory because it's kind of a weird book. And I wanted to kind of tell you how I came to read this book. So many years ago, there was this movie called Crazy as Hell that I saw. It was like on TV or something. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. That's a unique movie. And, you know, it's always been floating around my head as one of my favorites. The other day, we saw it on Netflix. And so I got the boyfriend to watch it. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's a unique look at Lucifer as a character. And if you guys have been around the Panic Room for any length of time, you know that I really enjoy Lucifer as like a protagonist in my books. It's just always been very interesting for me. So I was like, yeah, you know, it's a really cool take on Lucifer and, you know, kind of how he relates to humanity. Think like a grown-up Screwtape Letters. So I was like, as with most movies, I wonder if this is based on a book. Well, lo and behold, it was. So of course I was like, I gotta get a hold of this. I gotta get a hold of this and read it. So I ordered it on Amazon, used. You guys know me by now. You know I like my used copies. You know, you get them for a couple of bucks, right? So I get the package. And there's just so much that I've been waiting to tell you guys about what happened with this package. First, the book didn't come by itself. The book came with a little friend. So I got my Satan book, and then I also got this. Yeah, now, spoiler, I actually messaged the seller, and this was a mistake, sending them together. But I mentioned it to Mr. Morningstar, and he said, he was like, wasn't the cat in Cinderella named Lucifer? And I was like, you know, like, yes it was. So I thought that was an interesting little turn of events. But then, you know how like library books and things like that will have like a number stamped on them? I don't think it's the Dewey Decimal System, but don't quote me on that. So I was going to put this book away, right? So here's the front. I promise there's a reason I'm showing you this. Here's the front. And I went to put it away, and if you flip it, yeah, somebody thinks they're funny. I'm not joking. I was like, what? This can't be a coincidence. Somebody thinks they're funny. But I love it. So anyway, gotta take a deep breath. This book has one hell of a long title. Satan, His Psychotherapy and Cure by the Unfortunate Dr. Kassler, JSPS. And our author is Jeremy Levin. Alright guys, so beyond the weirdness of how I came about this book, you know, the whole like Cinderella book and the number and all that, this book review is going to be a little weird because of the way this book is constructed. It's not going to be a book for everyone. It's not. It's going to be very niche. And you guys know that I have a background in psychology, also theology. So for me, this is a perfect marriage of everything that I love. That's not the case for everyone, and I recognize that. So I'm going to tell you straight out of the gate, if you don't like psychobabble talk, you're not going to like this. There's a lot of psychobabble in here. If you don't like the clinical side of stuff like that, you're not going to like it. And also, if you don't like hashing out the big questions, you know, like the reason we're here and man's place in the universe, you're not going to like it either. I personally love that kind of shit. All right, I can talk for hours about it. So again, that's one reason that I knew I was going to like this book. This book is probably one of the slowest burns that I've read in a long time. A long time. You really got to stick with it because it's 499 pages. You get everything about Dr. Kassler's life. You get real personal. I'm pretty sure the only thing I don't know about this man is his shoe size. But it's to an end. It is. Because you are in the middle of a psychological book, you need to know this man so that you can understand him and his reasoning and his motivations. So I get it. Now, stupid me, here I am saying like, oh, I got this background in theology. I was like halfway through this shit before I realized that it was like a modern day Job. Now, does that mean it was written well? Probably. But my horror lovers are probably wondering, like, where's the horror here? You're like, I know Satan's here, but where's the horror? It is cerebral. Like, it's very mental. There's a little bit of physical horror here, but for those of us who subsist on a diet of horror, this is not even going to be like an appetizer for you. The horror here is like the contemplation, like a human man seeing what his life means and the control or lack thereof that he has over his own life. Now, if you're like me and you're type A, the very idea of relinquishing control of anything scares the living hell out of you. Oh, is this book going to be horrifying? Yes, it will, because that's kind of the whole end of this, is that your demonic narrator, who you find out about 100 pages in is Satan. You get that over time, his whole end game here, which is brilliantly hidden, as you would expect from the father of lies, you find out that his whole end game here is kinda to prove to Castler that none of this means anything. Like, you don't mean anything in this world. You have no control over anything. And is that not just the saddest, most like miserable thing that you've ever been told? Because, you know, it's in the human animal. We want to mean something. We want to leave our mark. You know, that's why we have children in a lot of ways, is to leave our mark on the world so that we're remembered. And, you know, here you have this man who, by the way, some of the craziest shit happens to. I want you to think of just the worst stuff that can happen to a person. Not like horror movie kind of worst stuff. I mean like day-to-day stuff, like your house burning down or getting in a car wreck or stuff like that. All of it happens to him. And that's what I mean, like a modern day Job, right? Losing family, losing houses, the whole shebang, all of it. And then sometimes you have these really like messed up scenes, like real messed up scenes. Like, because I mean, he works in a psychotherapy ward, okay? And this is like taking place in like the late 70s, like mid to late 70s. So, I mean, if you know anything about mental health, you know like the state of things back then. So you have all this, you know, about like people running around naked, smearing feces on the wall, you know, that kind of deal. But then you have this whole like psychotherapy side that is kind of like put on display right along with Castler's personal life, which is arguably weirder. Like, there's this scene where they go to a club. Okay, it's a sex club, all right? But the way it's described, it's in, like, concentric circles. Did you get it? Do you get it? It's Dante's Inferno, right? It's Dante's Inferno. So all of this stuff keeps happening to our Dr. Castler, Cy. That's his first name, Cy. All this stuff keeps happening to him. And it's so probable because all this stuff could legit happen to someone, but it's like, it's so serendipitous that like one thing leads to the other, and then eventually the reader's like, someone's got to be orchestrating this. And you know, he's an atheist, Cy, so he doesn't think that. But as the reader, after so long, you're like, okay, something's going on here. Something's happening. And literally the whole thing is interwoven beautifully, and you don't get why until like the last 20 pages. I love that. I loved that so much. And again, don't take me wrong. There are some beautiful horror scenes here. Okay? Like there's this whole almost like reanimator shit happening in the basement of this psych ward that is just, oh, beautifully written. There is a doctor, and I'm probably gonna butcher his name, in my head. I've told you guys before that sometimes, you know, I will say a name in my head and then that's who they are forever. So in this book, it's Dr. Zazazo, and he is crazy. One of the best like psycho doctors that I've read possibly ever. I loved his character. He is sinister in all the ways that you want like an evil doctor to be. It was great. Again though, I have to say, this book is not for everyone. You're going to have to love you some psychology. You're going to have to really like talking about like the big questions of humanity. Now, I will say it's not real heavy on the religion. It's really not. You get a very screw tape letters kind of feel for your Satan character because, you know, he is in therapy, and his whole deal for being in therapy is he is tired of being the scapegoat for humanity. And so there's a lot of really cool little insights you get from him, if you're into that kind of thing, which I am. So, and it's a super slow burn. So if you don't like that, you're gonna hate this book because like I said, it is 500 pages. It's a lot to get through if you don't like slow burns. If you don't like psychology, if you don't like talking about like the big questions of the universe, you are really gonna hate this. But if any of that strikes your fancy, if you like new takes on the devil, or, you know, if you liked, you know, Lewis's Screw Tape Letters and this whole idea of a story being told from an antagonistic point of view against humanity, you might very well enjoy this. Really. Now, like I said, everything happens to this man. There are some scenes that could be construed as assault in here. There are some very explicit sex scenes. I mean, there are some murders, things like that. I don't think that if you are a lover of horror that anything's going to shock you. There are a few scenes where you're going to be like, wow, that was really weird, but nothing outlandish. However, again, this horror lies in the contemplation of man in the world. And I like that. I like that in my horror. I like getting in people's heads. I like that mental horror. If you do too, you're gonna love it. So I highly recommend. But just know, it is slow. It is. It's probably one of the slowest books I've read in a while. But again, I enjoy Satan as protagonist. I enjoy psychology. So this book was a perfect marriage for me. Anyway, guys, I know this was a strange book review, but I really, really wanted to read this. I'd also check out the movie, crazy as hell. It is 100% different than the book. So, hey, if you don't feel like reading the book, just go check that out. You'll get like a flavor, tiny flavor of what this book is about, but it is completely different as far as like plots and all of that. So if you want to read the book and you're scared the movie's going to ruin it for you, don't worry about that. So guys, thanks for hanging out for this review. You know, I know it was a little... Wait, did you hear that? Hang on. Hello? Is someone there?
Pax, I've had one hell of a week.